Every day we're going to have something new and exciting and informative to talk about. I mean, this is the Rolonda Show where you get stuff worth talking about. And listen, we just talked about training your pet. And even some of the big stars need to keep this in mind. Police have spoken with Claudia Schiffer about controlling her two large dogs near her mansion in the countryside over there in London. Police met with a 36-year-old supermodel to discuss complaints that her dogs were intimidating walkers. They say it's not a criminal matter, but just could you chill out the dogs? A little training for everybody might help. So you have been listening to the Rose Show today, and you got a hankering to have a pet. Well, how do you make that decision? Remember, dogs have owners, cats have staff. Two different personalities. So how do you pick the personality of your pet? And every dog has a different personality. And maybe you want a pot-bellied pig or a rabbit. And they said chickens. The biggest pet trend today, chickens. They're easy to care for, and you get eggs in the morning. Never thought of that. Who knew? So, is a Rottweiler a good fit for an elderly single woman? How about a Jack Russell Terrier for a family with a bunch of little kids? Can a single man live with a Great Dane? Well, we're bringing in our professional vet here, Dr. Carol Osborne. Carol, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rolonda. Thanks for having me.
We are pet people here, and I have 3 cats. I tell you, they're like children.
Pets are like children, and that's one of the most important things to think about before you get a pet, is that basically, for those moms out there, you're adding another child to the family for about the next 10 or 15 years.
That's right. What are the things that you would tell families? Because, everybody has a little extra love in their heart for a furry little friend. What do you tell people before they decide to go out and make that, as you said, multi-year investment?
Well, I think that it's important, first of all, to do your homework and be responsible. It's so easy to walk by that window and see that cute little face in the window and bang, there you are, an impulse decision that you need to live with for a long time. So before you go out and buy, do your homework and take your time and really think about the decision you're about to make and consider all the people in your family, adults and kids, and make sure that it's a joint family decision.
Mm-hmm. Because there are so many different. I mean, you could go with the gerbils and the reptiles and the snakes. I mean, there's so many different things that you could do. You also better consider your costs as well as your lifestyle, like whether you're home during the day, how much your pet needs.
I think you need to think about your whole family as far as the parameters, your lifestyle, your personality, and your home itself. I mean, if we start with personality, are you active? Are you kind of laid back? Are you working all day? Do you spend a lot of time at home? How do you feel about handling the responsibility? And then again, who is going to be responsible for taking care of the new pet?
That's right. Who's going to scoop the poop?
Exactly. And a lot of times, no matter what you think, it's going to come down to mom.
Oh.
So think about all those things and try to match the personality of the pet to the personality of the person or family receiving the pet.
We're talking to Dr. Carol Osborne, who is our visiting vet today on the Rolonda Show. I remember just before I got my dog, I did a lot of reading of books. I went online. I went to the American Kennel Club, and looked up information about the personality of a boxer and whether that fit with me. Now, I had to say that boxers have been in my family for 3 generations. I mean, I have pictures of my grandparents and boxers, so I couldn't show up and get a Chihuahua. I would let my family down at this point. But finding the right dog for you is so important. You can also go to cat and dog shows, talk to neighbors, go hang out at the dog park, go hang out at the animal shelters. Do your research.
Absolutely. And if you're not sure, for example, if you have a family with kids and you're not really sure if your child is up for the responsibility, it's a great idea to have your child volunteer at a local rescue or a pet shelter.
Oh, that's great. That's really great.
Then they can see if this is the type of thing that they think that they enjoy doing. And if a dog's not the right choice, maybe a cat is a better choice.
Now, do cats come in different personalities with different breeds the way dogs do?
Cats have as many personalities, breeds, and lifestyles as dogs do. In general, they're a little bit less work, a little bit more laid back. But you can, for example, get a Maine Coon, which is one of the top 3 most popular cat
And I
breeds.
want you to know my 2 cats, Princess and Wolfie, are half Maine Coon. But they're big cats, though.
They're big cats, and they have these great big furry tails that I just love. I have a Maine Coon myself, and I always think of a Maine Coon as a cat with the personality of a dog.
Yeah, they are very strong. And what is that? Why are they called Maine Coons? Because they look like raccoons? They don't have raccoon in them, do they?
I do not know the ancestral background of the name of the Maine Coon, but what I do know is it's a fabulous, fabulous choice of a cat for a family, and they get along great with kids and dogs.
And dogs. I know. My 2 Maine Coons and Tabby sleep with my boxer. I mean, that's how close they are. Now, when you're choosing an animal, you walk in and there's a litter. There's maybe 13 little puppies or kittens there. How do you know which one is the one for you?
Well, what I always say is when you first walk up to that litter, just stand back and take an overall view of the entire litter. And my rule is to take to your heart the pet that takes you to his. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is just watch them walk around, see if you make eye contact or one of them makes eye contact with you. If one of them comes up to you, you don't want to pick the most aggressive pet in the litter, mm-hmm. and you don't want to pick the little guy that's cuddled up shy in the corner. You want to get that sort of average, middle of the road Joe, as I say.
Yeah.
Who walks up to you, who's interested in you, who makes eye contact with you. And when that's happened, visually inspect the pet. Take him out, hold him, and take a good look at him. Smell him and make sure he's
smells like a puppy.
Right. He should be nice and active. And watch him walk. He should move around and walk and stand up and sit down easily and not limp or anything like that. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to feel him. He shouldn't have any funny lumps or bumps, no little hernias, which puppies sometimes do have. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the next step is to take your puppy to the vet to make sure that he is exactly what you think he is. If you've purchased from a breeder, make sure that you know the breeder's return policy, that Absolutely. You have that in writing, and you also have a copy of the AKC registration paper.
I am so glad you brought that up. We are talking today about pets and how you can find the right one for you. And we're talking to Dr. Carol Osborne, who is a veterinarian. And I wanted to also ask you about prices. Of course, you can go to the shelter and pay almost nothing to get a wonderful dog. A lot of them are there as families have to move or somebody passes on. Some of them are there not just being abandoned. Some of them have had wonderful homes and just in transition and need another owner. But if you're going to buy a pet, what is the price range? How do you know how much you're going to have to spend?
Well, again, it depends whether you're looking for a purebred or a mixed breed. If it's a pet for pleasure or a pet that you plan on showing, mm-hmm. Is he a puppy or is he an adult? So basically, from $35 to a couple thousand or even more, the sky's the limit when it comes to price.
That's right, because you see some of those itty-bitty little 3-pound dogs that those stars are walking on the red carpet and sitting in restaurants with, and they cost a bundle.
Well, they do, but don't just consider the initial cost of buying a pet. It's also important to consider how much that pet is going to cost you once you've made your purchase.
That's right.
Think about proper care, food,
vaccinations,
shots, spaying and neutering, mm-hmm. All those kinds of factors play a part. If the dog has long hair or the cat, grooming will be a consideration, which can cost $500 or more a year, depending on the breed and the type of haircut.
And Carol, we haven't even gotten into the treats and all the beds and all that other stuff you buy for the animals.
Absolutely. Aside from the basics, which would be proper veterinary care, mm-hmm. food, water, and the essentials, there's a myriad of other things out there.
Should you get insurance on your animal?
Insurance is a wonderful idea, and there are more and more insurance companies out there offering very reasonable, very reputable insurance plans for pets.
Oh, that's good to know, because I tell you, you fall so in love with your pet, and after 10 years, if something happens, it costs a lot of money for operations and things. And I know that's a question that's asked a lot among owners is, how can I afford that if something happens to this member of my family?
That's exactly right. There's a company called V-Surance, which offers a very reasonable plan. And there are other big companies like Purina, for example, that also offer insurance plans. And one thing to remember is that an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure.
That's right.
To your pet's
And
health.
let me tell you something, Doctor, that's great advice for humans, too. Thank you so much for being with us. Go hug your pet today. You're listening to The Rolonda Show.